What's going on, guys? Stripes here, and today we're going to be looking at the AKM in Battlefield Hardline and comparing its performance to other weapons. First of all, I would like to thank you for clicking on this video. I hope you guys support me, subscribe, comment, like, and share. It all greatly helps me out in the growing of this channel. Well, alright, so let's jump into it with the AKM. Now the AKM is a quite good gun. It is very much so overlooked by many people because the M416 and the M16 are quite overpowering, but it actually competes very well with them. The statistics are now being shown on screen, where you can see that the minimum damage for this gun is 25, meaning that you can still 4-shot kill anybody at a pretty quite long range. Now the max damage is 36, meaning when you're a little bit closer, in between 0 to 50 meters, you can 3-shot someone. Now this gun varies a lot with what types of attachments you want to put on. Personally, I prefer using the flash hider because when you're shooting down range, that muzzle flash won't appear and prevent you from aiming or seeing your target correctly or fully. Now, I also like using the angled foregrip on a weapon because when you shoot your first shot, you don't want to have a slight bump right away, so it reduces your first shot recoil. Now, I also use the Cobra sight, which I really prefer. I don't know, it's just a preference, but you guys can use anything like a PSO or like an AKM scope. That really works well. Now, the AKM's rate of fire is 600 rounds per minute, which means you're still going to be able to compete with those other guns like the M16, A3, and the M416. Unfortunately, this will make it harder though when you're up in close quarters against people with like the K10 or any other kind of submachine gun. It'll make it much more difficult for you to take them out and make it much more easy for them to take you out. Now, the reload time for this weapon isn't the best. When it's empty, it takes 3.37 seconds, which is a little bit on the high side. But when you reload, when you have a little bit ammo left, it'll take 2.65 seconds, which isn't that bad. Now, if we look at the muzzle velocity of this weapon, it is 580 meters per second, which isn't too bad. But when you compare that with other weapons, like especially submachine guns, which you shouldn't even be comparing this weapon to, it definitely gets beat by them. Now, the muzzle velocity when it is suppressed is 320 meters per second, which means it's going to be very hard to use this gun. Now, what I mean by hard to use is that if you're turning around a corner and someone else is there, I mean, they're just going to have the jump on you. There's no way of beating them in a shootout. Now, what I found about this weapon is that if you're playing vertically on top of roofs, shooting down at opponents, you'll have the jump on them definitely. I mean, it just kicks a lot at them and it'll just knock them right to the ground.
Now, the AKM has some pretty strong recoil. It has the highest recoil in the entire operators class, which means it has higher recoil than the M416 and the M16A3 with a recoil of 0.6 up. And it also has some pretty strong horizontal recoil with 0.15 to the left and 0.4 to the right. Okay, so I found that to reduce this recoil on the AKM, what you have to do is have little tap fire bursts. The tap fire bursts are really effective against long range targets. Of course, it's not that effective against close range, you can just light them up. But you can also, since the recoil is up to the right a little bit, drag your mouse down left and it'll help reduce that also. Like I said before, you do not want to really engage targets that are really close to you. You want to keep sticking to those medium to longer ranges where you can just pick a target off. It'll be really effective against them. Now, of course, there are other options you can use too, like I said before, with different scopes and stuff like that. Now on the battlefield, you would like to be the first one firing because it's a little bit slower rate of fire. Of course, you want to be the first one also to start shooting. You have to watch that out. That's why I do not recommend engaging people close. I do not recommend that at all because if they have, like I said before, a SMG or something like that, they'll just be able to spray you down really quickly. Now some guns with this amount of power generally have a smaller magazine size, but as you can see, the AKM has a 31 magazine size, but if you equip the extend magazine, it'll have around 36, but I recommend not doing that because with the slow rate of fire and as much power as it has, you'll be fine off. Now going back to the attachments, the muzzle flash hider is very effective because when you're shooting at long distances, snipers generally won't be able to spot you as easily. Like I said before, you won't have any issues with being blinded by your muzzle fire. Now that's the wrap up for this episode of my review for the AKM, and I hope you guys really enjoyed. Stay tuned for more, and also about the AKM, you can buy, I think you can buy a weapons license for it. If I'm wrong, tell me in the comment section below. But I really like this weapon, and I think it's one of the more effective ones. I think it's overlooked, and I think there's a lot of things about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and check out some of my other videos.